the phytoremediation sites will produce biomass, which is wood or other plant material that we want to use in our makerspace in participation with people in order to create either new material or energy or maybe something new that we didn't think about, but people will create. And on the next slide, you will be able to see that what we decided is to use very simple data like vegetation indexes or PSRI. So, and of course, the soil analysis data so that we can monitor the evolution. And also we want to use AI algorithms to predict what would happen if we carry on with some activities. We want to assess both the biomass production, both from satellite imagery and from the actual measurements of how many tons of biomass we're producing. And we want to replicate everything throughout the metropolitan area, where there's an estimation of more than 600 hectares of heavily polluted land, where cadmium and lead concentrations are 7 to 9 times more than the maximum alert limit allowed in Europe. On the next slide, you will see another experiment that we carried out. We measured the plant stress during different periods, and we used an artificial intelligence algorithm to simulate what would happen after a while if we only leave there the spontaneous vegetation that we currently have. And we found out that the stress level in plants remains the same, and unless we act now on phytoremediation, we will not have any spectacular results. So this is why we have decided in the city that we need to use something innovative to measure everything and to provide replication means. A few years back, we used also satellite data to bring all the trees in the city into one database, into our GIS system. This was very helpful because it helped us save a lot on costs. Initially, in the city, this was performed by using topographers and biologists who were just measuring the trees manually. So this was one of the most efficient ways to reduce costs and keep up to date a system of tracking green areas. On the next slide, I would basically like to thank the Urban 2020 Association and INDECOSOFT, which is the technical supporting partner of the SPIRE project, because without their involvement, neither the urban planning and the involvement of the community and nor the technical solutions would have been at the city's disposal, as our city doesn't really have a lot of expertise neither in GIS or Earth observation. So I would like to kindly thank everybody for participating and for following this presentation. And I hope we will represent a good practice example across Europe and that our expertise will be repeated in other cities. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Sorin. Very interesting, Sorin. So let me ask you one thing, Sorin, before we move to the next. The data that you use for Earth observation is important that it's updated on real time, or you can wait for months? It's more the historical data. Do you use everything? Which is the actual data that you are exploiting in your planning?
So for the SPIRE project, we are using Copernicus data, and we have taken pretty much every single image that Copernicus Sentinel-2 has on Baia Mare and is not clouded. In terms of green areas monitoring, we have used commercial data, and we use it. We are taking one set of images every year, basically in the month May or June, when the vegetation is at its foremost. So this is the data that we're using right now.
And you are combining Earth observation data with local data, from local sensors as well?
For the SPIRE project, there are no sensors yet. We have a partner, which is the University of Agricultural Science, that actually goes into the field and takes measurements. They process it in a lab, and they provide us with the data that we are comparing to what Earth observation gives us.
Okay. Let me change city. Baia Mare, for example, Sorin. if you could think in the technology possibilities in the coming 5-10 years, more data, more precision navigation services, the combination with 5G, IoT, the artificial intelligence. How do you see the evolution in the planning in your city in Bahia Mare?
Well, it's obvious that everything that you've already said will happen. We will have more and more data, better quality, better accuracy, better everything. But in my view, what we need to have also is a little bit of human-centered Earth observation. Not very long ago, and even this at the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about citizen input and people reporting problems or whatever in our GIS solutions. And I really believe that in the next few years, more and more people, also for private use and for business and for planning cities, will start using Earth observation. And it's not going to be just Milan or Paris, but also Baia Mare or very small villages in Romania or throughout Europe. So I believe that understanding the data also by a human factor is just as important as developing artificial intelligence. And those things will both go together. And as soon as we'll have more understanding, we'll also collaborate with sensors, with measurements, and all the data will eventually go into AI and provide us with strategies on the medium and long term.
Okay.